But another one, this is the craziest one. This was the one I said to Ryan. I was like, are you out of your mind? He said Goonies. And I don't know why people would ask for that. Could you imagine, like, what do they even want? Like, just like a reboot with new kids? Or even worse, you know, bringing back the actors. It's like, dude, I don't want to see Thanos hanging out with the dad from Everywhere and Everything All at Once in a pirate ship with a guy with teeth sticking out of his lip.
Yeah.
Ah!
Pirates aren't even a thing anymore.
I cannot, in good conscience, talk about Double Toasted live in LA without showing that image right there. Double Toasted live in LA.
We're gonna watch a bunch of trailers, and we're gonna talk about them with the idea in mind of what makes for a good sequel. You know, there's a little bit of a magic to that, a little bit of chutzpah, if you will.
Okay.
You know. But yeah, I guess we'll just get right into it. You know, when you're bringing back these old franchises of things like Alien, Beetlejuice, you know, you really need to have someone with a vision, right?
Yeah.
You need to have someone who knows what they're doing, and your pitch shouldn't be fueled by just tired nostalgia.
Right.
You know, I don't know, maybe something like Slimer, just in the foreground constantly, even though I'm going to be honest, I kind of like Slimer in the new movie. It was cool to see that puppet in action. It looked nice.
Okay.
At least I thought so. But still, my point stands. You need to have the balls to take something old and make something new with it, which has proven to be pretty challenging, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Some things are a product of their time, and it's not understood why they are a product of their time.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's the idea of, oh, this worked so well. I got a great feeling from this. People loved it. Let's do another one and give them that feeling again. But they don't capture the thing that made them what they were.
Yeah, they just try to recreate it. They're
Yeah.
like, all right, aim for that cloud. It's going to shoot the lightning right in the bottle.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not how this
Not how
works.
this works.
You need to have some good ideas, but there's some hope out there, I think. You know, and we got some
Because I've lost all hope.
Look, I know Alien has become what it is, and it's another one of these franchises where the first two movies are great, and then everything after. Everything after.
Yeah, and it's a quick sliding scale. It was like Alien 3. Oh, that was not good. Oh, yeah? Well, where do you get a load of Alien 4? And then 5. And then the spinoffs. You're like, hey, you know, that Alien 3 wasn't so bad.
You know what's funny is I love the first Alien movie. I'm one of those people who prefers Alien to Aliens.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it's just because of the horror and the sets and the light and the characters. Just they're brilliant. And I would even say I like Prometheus or Alien versus Predator. You know, like I thought that was fun, but it didn't have like the gravitas and weight that those original two movies did, where they had an idea and they went in a very unique direction and they did something cool with it. But now we got another one of these sequel boots or whatever you want to call them.
Boots.
Yeah, you know, like
that's always the question. Is it a sequel? Is it a reboot? And sometimes the answer is yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not 100% sure. I'll give you a lowdown on what I have as the plot for this movie. But I hear that this takes place like during the first Alien, like right before the second one. And it's one of those colonies that they mention like, yeah, just like disappeared, you know? So let's watch the trailer for Alien Romulus, hear your thoughts, and then go down why maybe there's a chance. This is the trailer for Alien Romulus.
Run.
Oh, shit.
Initial thoughts, and it's funny. I was pretty optimistic about this, but then rewatching, I was like, oh, you guys did this one thing that I was like, I kind of wish you didn't do that. But I'll get into it. But first, please tell me what your thoughts are on this.
Well, it looks good, but you can't judge anything from a teaser. Yeah, I just can't have an opinion. I will say that I was taken aback by the face huggers. That was effective as far as being, you know, scary. But yeah, there's just not enough here to go by, you know, to know
Yeah,
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah, it has the look down, which is half the battle. Because some of these other movies that we'll get into, they kind of like just forget about the whole style behind the filmmaking, and they just flip on the camera, turn on the lights, and Jim Bob is there eating his donuts as they shoot the movie. But from what I've read online, the description of this story is such as this: while scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. Pretty basic, I think, for an Alien movie.
And I don't know, colonizer has a bad name now.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard to be on their side.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, I don't think they're really gonna make it out of this one.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be just another slasher with this, but. The director behind this project he's nothing to scoff at, I don't think. Fede Alvarez, the director of a movie that some of you may know as Don't Breathe, which in my eyes, I was like, this is kind of a perfect choice. Like, if you think about it, the xenomorph is a blind rape monster. And Don't Breathe is about a blind rapist. So when you kind of do the math, it kind of works, I think. And that gives me some sort of hope for this.
Yeah, I see that. And I guess he did he do the most recent Evil Dead?
He didn't do the most recent because Evil Dead Rise was the most recent one. Do you even remember that?
Oh, he did the one I hate.
See, that's the thing is you and Corey, you hate those original ones, or sorry, that remake.
Yeah.
Personally, I really enjoyed it. Like, I think that's one of the things that I like that this director does is he knows how to play with the audience's expectations.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what you found obnoxious in that 2013 Evil Dead.
No.
Oh, then what was it that bothered you?
The fan service and the callbacks. And the fact that it lacked what made the Evil Dead movies fun to watch.
Yeah. So like just the surprise of what's going to happen.
The surprise, the dark humor. It seemed to be playing it straight, but kept going like, hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? Huh? Oh, chainsaw, right? Camera, focus, chainsaw, spotlight, chainsaw. Now that you bring it up, I wasn't a big fan of Don't Breathe either.
I was going to say, I'm not crazy about the movie either. Yeah, I think that, like, I was just trying to be like, all right, like, I could see why they would hire him.
You're putting a good face on it, and I appreciate your optimism. But once now you brought up Evil Dead, it makes me go back and go like, well, if I'm honest, I haven't liked his previous two movies, so that doesn't, I don't know.
But would you say that even though you didn't like the movies, do you think that you still like enjoyed the visuals?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's half the battle, someone who knows how to use the camera.
Sure.
And I think that he did that very effectively. But, reading the description of this movie, it reminds me of something I really didn't care for, which we kind of hinted at, which was Alien Covenant, which was a sequel technically to Prometheus. And Prometheus is like a prequel to Alien. And it's just like, Prometheus almost is special. That's how I like to look at that movie. It's almost there because there's stuff in Prometheus. It lives in my brain forever now.
Yeah. I think I was crucified because I didn't hate Prometheus because I was like, well, there's some good ideas here and I see why this is supposed to work. And maybe if they took another shot at it, they could.
I think that you're right. And I'll say what you will about the movie, that abortion scene or whatever you want to call it, that shit is amazing. I think that is just top tier. It's like just wincing, scary and gross. Really good stuff. And them trying to just emphasize mystery of just like, can we breathe? And then they take off their helmets like, all right, that's stupid. I'm going to move on, but that's really stupid what you guys just did. Yeah. So I think that it's better than what we ended up getting here with Alien Covenant, which was just a slasher with a xenomorph, which on paper sounds like the greatest thing ever, and then they do nothing with it. They have super boring characters. They have just really shitty looking xenomorphs. With like CGI xenomorphs are the most heartbreaking shit I've ever seen in my life. Because then they start to look like up squirrels or something. You know, like look at this guy. It's like, will you wipe your mouth? God damn it! I'm sick of you drooling.
I know. Yeah. Those first two movies, such mystery behind the creatures, and they just get away from that.
Yeah.
So it used to be when you saw him, it was like, oh, this is terrifying, and now it's like, oh yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah, but you can see how they're leaning on. I know this isn't the original poster that they use. This is like the newer one, but you can see how they're leaning on this, the original idea of the imagery of it, because of this right here is the new poster.
Oh,
it's like,
okay.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're showing, like, you can see there's a little bit of a difference to his mouth, which is like, good for you, I guess. like I guess you're changing it up, you know. That doesn't really make or break it for me, but I have hope. But moving right along with another trailer that recently came out, and I'm sure you've heard about this one. I mean, how many times did you hear people going, man, I hear Beetlejuice is going to Hawaii? You never heard?
Never. I was today years old when I heard that.
Well, for years, that was the rumor that they were going to make a sequel to, that I heard at least, that Beetlejuice was going to be going to Hawaii, and that was going to be the concept.
You only got one more time to say that.
Okay. Oh, why?
If you say, you will have said his name 3 times.
So the Betelgeist has a new trailer out there. And good catch. Imagine Corey's not here and the floor breaks open. But let's check out this teaser for this long-awaited sequel. I mean, when you talk about Tim Burton in his prime, like what really like led him to go like, I am awakened. This is me. It is Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
They're
Get the trailer up.
The juice is loose.
in IMAX, Martin. I heard you get a little laugh out of that. I laughed at it too. Man, he is amazing always, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite characters of his.
And it's one of his best roles where he really threw himself into it. I mean, before being Batman, Michael Keaton was known as a comedic actor. Mm-hmm. And so then this is where he, was his full chops on display.
And I love how you can see where it's like, did they put less makeup on him? Like, it just looks like
it does.
They kind of just painted his face white and like up his teeth a little bit. But I don't mean that in a bad way. It's been years. Beetlejuice can look old. Yeah. And I think that that's fun. I think that there's some really good stuff in this trailer. I think that there's some
teaser.
of the... There's some good stuff in this teaser for the Beetlejuice film.
Yeah.
I really like the title. I think that that's pretty clever. Mm-hmm. And I like what they show, the audience, like to just give you an idea, because there's some stuff in the original film that they can't bring that back. You know what I mean? What did I have it here in my notes. So let me give you the lowdown on what the plot is for this film. So the sequel focuses on the Dietz family reunion post-tragedy. Imagine Jeffrey Jones' characters dying, unless they're going to pull Where's My Caddy and have him show up. I doubt it.
They ain't doing that with Jeffrey Jones.
No, they're not. He's dead. But anyway, they have this funeral, and they're going to be exploring generational dynamics with the new characters. That's what it says online. And I looked into it for more details, and they say, still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life is turned upside down when her rebellious teenage daughter Astrid discovers the mysterious model of the town in the attic, and the portal to the afterlife is accidentally opened. And reading that, I was like, That sounds like sequelitis.
Yeah, it's a whole. We need a reason to bring the character back. So just write something and we'll go with it. Whoever first one to chime in, we'll go with your idea. It's fine. It's fine. You know what? The funny thing, I laughed when I saw Jenna Ortega because I was like, well, who else in the modern age would be the Tim Burton muse other than Jenna Ortega?
Yeah, she looks like a mini Lydia. Like it's perfect.
Yeah.
And honestly, what impressed me about this teaser was that even though we only got one line out of him, you can see that like he hasn't skipped a beat, man. Like he is so into it, and that's all that matters, really. And one thing that I think is interesting about them revisiting this world is when I was in college, I went to school in Canada, and there were a lot of international students, you know, and someone was telling me that they saw like one of those random Tim Burton movies that wasn't very good. What was the one where it was? I mean,
there's a lot of them.
I know I forget. It's like Dark something with Johnny Depp, like kind of has
Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows. That's the one. Yeah. And he watched it. I was like, I really like the way this looked. I didn't care for it. And I was like, well, have you ever seen Beetlejuice? And he's like, what's that? And I was like, roll a blunt, sit down. We're watching this right now. And his reaction was so funny, I thought, where he was like, I loved it, but there's not enough of Beetlejuice. Because watching it that time, I realized he's in the movie for like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah. It's a little more than 10 minutes, but you're right. For a movie that's titled Beetlejuice, you feel like you don't get enough Beetlejuice. And it's always awesome when he comes on. But, you know, it's sort of like the way you... almost the way you want a movie to be, where it does do a lot of the groundwork. So that when he comes, you know, it's already solid by the time he gets there. And when he's doing stuff upsetting the apple cart, it has a meaning to it, as opposed to just, you know, it being all him and shenanigans. But to that point, Beetlejuice is one of those few movies that always felt like there's going to be a sequel, and soon there's going to be another one.
There's gotta be. And wow, what, 30 years later, finally? Yeah, it took them a while. I'm glad that they got around to it. And it's something that I've always wanted because, like, growing up, like, even when I was young, like, I'm pretty sure that this movie was the first time I heard in a movie.
Dude, I didn't even remember it until I was showing it to my kids. And we're sitting around watching it. And Dad just randomly, he's like, thanks for the tree. And I was like... okay, why was that in there?
The line that I remember is, hey, nice model. And they squeeze his dick.
Oh, yeah.
Honk, honk. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff in there, man, that is just like, wow. Like Tim Burton really pushed it, and it worked for him.
Yeah.
I have some hope now. This is the last time, okay, Tim? Like if you don't nail this, I think you don't got it no more, man. This is your bread and butter. I mean, it doesn't get more Tim Burton than this.
It's been a good while since he made something that I thought, okay, this is his shot. And it's the perfect shot. It's a chance for him to do all the things he's good at and remind everybody. And yeah, you're right. This was made when he was in his prime.
There's a lot of stuff that this made me think. I was like, there's so many movies that are from like my childhood, you know, like the 90s, or even some stuff from the 80s, which you brought up, that I kind of would like to see them do a sequel to still. There's a couple, but one in particular, I would say, is growing up, this was my favorite movie. I literally wore out a VHS tape of it. And this right here is the movie. And I'm sure some of you in the chat will recognize this.
Thing in his life are his pajamas. Ooh, somebody stop me!
And that they most definitely did. For a little while, right? And this is, you know, the reason I brought up this one in particular is because I really, really love this movie. And I want Jim Carrey to put this makeup back on and just get back into it. But we know what happened last time they brought back this franchise.
Yeah.
It was not the best.
No.
And in case you forgot, this is the other side of the coin here of why I was saying I don't know if you can make these sequels, because in case you forgot, let me remind you what happened.
Come on and tell me I'm your own.
Enough. I'm sorry. I played that for too long, but I had to make my point. Okay.
Yeah. No. That movie, it settled the age-old debate. Is Jamie Kennedy the new Jim Carrey?
No. Not even close. I would even say I like Malibu's Most Wanted, but get the out of here with that. Not even close.
Not even. And that's an example of what I'm talking about. It's that you clearly didn't understand what made the first movie work. It's like with Ghostbusters. You didn't understand that it was, those 3 or 4 guys and them playing off each other that made that movie work. It wasn't the ghost or the busting. And with The Mask, it only exists because Jim Carrey was there in his prime, willing to go out and do anything and just push it to the limit.
And that was one of the early comic book adaptations. It was pretty different, but it's because it's like, all right, we're not going to have this guy murdering people with blood and everything. We got to make some money. And
disappointed me because I love the comic. I was like, man, I wish they'd do it like it was. But I get it. You're making a movie to entertain a mass group of people.
And I think if they made a sequel to it, I think that they could go that far and they could evolve it.
You know what? That would be an interesting thing. I think there's just too many people who love this Jim Carrey movie who would not be down with that, though.
Well, I'm one of the rare examples who loves that, and I would be down with that because the whole point that I've been trying to make with this discussion is that if you're going to try and make those dollars and really make a sequel to one of these big franchises, make it worth everyone's time. Do something new with it.
Do something different. Change directions.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's pointless and it's just a cash grab. But one thing that I've been thinking about, and there's others, before I move on to close out this conversation, what are some sequels that you guys in the chat would like? I have a list here that good old Ryan Walterson, my Ryan Hand man, hooked me up with. And some of these are going to make you go give me a break, because some of them I said to him, I was like, dude, no.
Okay, I will try to refrain from doing that.
You're not going to manage. All right, some things that people bring up that they would like a sequel to. Wow, someone said Pulp Fiction 2. You're out of your mind, dude.
God damn it.
Someone beat me to it. Yes, Monkey Bone 2. If we had all the time in the world, that would have come up, I promise you.
Sure. But that actually could be done. That could be done.
Imagine an older, what is it? Stu Miley, coming back. It's trying to make a new cartoon. Could spend all day talking about the potentials of Monkey Bone. But let me tell you some of the movies that people want to see get a sequel. Back to the Future, Big Lebowski, Dark City, Galaxy Quest. That one I'm like, what's his name? Tim Allen? Tim Allen. Isn't he kind of like blackballed in Hollywood now?
No, he's just very Republican, and everybody who is Republican, they claim they've been blackballed, but that's not actually the case.
And the thing is what's his name?
They never replaced him as Buzz Lightyear.
That is true. Well, kind of with Chris Evans, right?
Well, yeah, but you weren't going to have Tim Allen do that.
I guess so. But what I was going to say, what's the name of the actor who played Severus Snape?
Oh, Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. He's now dead, so I feel like doing Galaxy Quest without him.
Oh yeah,
pointless.
Yeah, it is pointless.
He was my favorite character. in that movie.
Right.
Someone in the chat said Biodome 2. Go back to your cage. How dare you say something like that? Get back in your biodome. But another one, this is the craziest one. This was the one I said to Ryan. I was like, are you out of your mind? He said Goonies. And I don't know why people would ask for that. Could you imagine, what do they even want? Just a reboot with new kids? Or even worse, bringing back the actors. It's like, dude, I don't want to see Thanos hanging out with the dad from Everywhere and Everything All at Once in a pirate ship with a guy with teeth sticking out of his lip.
Yeah. Pirates aren't even a thing anymore.
There's actually one movie on this list that I think doing a direct sequel to it would be kind of awesome if you took the time to write a good script and you put some money behind it and you got all the original actors back. I don't have a poster to pull up, but remember the movie Mystery Men with Ben Stiller?
Yeah.
That's another one that Ryan had on the list. I would like to see those characters again. I like that movie. I take it you're not a fan?
I'm not a big fan. I always thought that was that movie that looked like it was going to be good, and I liked it in concept and was really going with it. But there was a point midway where I was like, none of this is really funny.
The Blue Raja is forever, Martin.
Yeah, I know.
I would like to see that happen.
But yeah, but that was back when we didn't have superhero movies. We certainly didn't have legit superhero movies. Now that we have so many, doing a parody is like, okay, I guess.
Maybe that's warranted then. If they have a lot to work to satirize off of.
But we got The Boys.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That it's not happening.
Yeah.
Somehow I forgot about the best version of Mystery Men. Yeah, never mind. Cut that. Yeah, we already got it. Yeah, The Boys is amazing. But one thing that I was thinking about when I was just like, puffing my pipe, looking at the ceiling, contemplating these sequels and what they could do. There's a term that I've coined, and I think that what I'm going to talk about here is going to become more prevalent, especially with this advent of AI, when people are going to be able to pump out their own stuff by just typing stuff into the computer, where I have this term that I've coined called a Thanos project.
Okay.
Where the idea is, if someone has like a video game or a movie that they never got a sequel to, they could get that spiritual successor where someone's like, God damn it, you won't make it? I'll do it myself.
Okay.
And there's a trailer for something that came out recently that kind of is a Thanos movie for a very, very popular horror franchise, maybe one of the biggest. And I'll let you see what that is as we close out this conversation.
Animals don't get too hung up on reason. They just keep killing.
To me, that looks pretty badass.
Yeah.
Like there is some really, really good filmmaking behind that. And of course, I was referring to the Friday the 13th series of movies, which for those of you who don't know, Friday the 13th is in development hell on multiple levels. Like the reason why we haven't gotten another Friday the 13th movie is because the next one's going to be the 13th one. So they got nail it.
Okay.
And something that has recently happened with the Friday the 13th series is they had a video game that was really pushing, it was one of the first asymmetrical horror games that really started this boom that Dead by Daylight is doing. And now, we got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. We got the Evil Dead game that was like that. And Killer Clowns from Outer Space is coming out in a few months or something. And the disagreements that the writers and producers had with Friday the 13th killed any sort of progress they could have made with that game.
Oh, okay.
And this right here is finally, we're going to get someone's new view on Friday the 13th, which I'll be honest with you, I don't think that series is all that great anyway.
No, it's not.
And see, Martin told you, so it's true. But I think that there's a lot of potential in this as a movie, as far as just, telling the story of Jason through Jason's eyes. But what did you think of that trailer?
That is a movie, right?
Yeah, that is a movie.
Okay. You had me worried. I was like, is that a video game?
No.
So this is Friday the 13th?
It's not. It's a movie called In Violent Nature.
Okay. Wow. That is like Friday the 13th, but the way they've been doing, I guess, the horror movies lately. Is it elevated horror, they call it?
Maybe, I guess.
I don't know. It had a more natural, down to earth, not schlocky look to it. And I'm not a big fan of slasher films, but this looks cool. I was like, oh, I want to see this.
You know what it reminded me of, and maybe it's because of all the shots hitting him from behind. Remember The Wrestler? What was the name of the Darren Aronofsky directed that, right?
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of like some art house films. You know, the way that the camera follows him.
Yeah,
and you know, they say that like when you're filmmaking like this, the camera should reflect, you know, what is like going through the character's mind or something, or embody like how the character's moving. Like in The Wrestler, you know, the camera's following behind him, like wobbling left and right. And here it's like it's smooth, but he's like kind of just like waddling through the forest. And I think that this is some very inspired filmmaking.
It puts you uncomfortably close to him, like you are following him. And there might be that moment where he suddenly turns around on you.
Yeah.
Like, wait, Jason, no.
Yeah. And some people in the chat are not impressed by people like, is that Winnie the Pooh too? It's like, this has way better production value than that. You need to take a closer look. This doesn't look like some shit that's phoned in that's cost less than $1 million. This looks like a real movie. I'm very excited for this. This is something that totally caught me off guard because I'd given up on finding a movie like that, you know, a movie that would just be like Friday the 13th. And now we're getting one from his point of view. And I think you're right. Yeah. Where you do see it from his point of view. And that does add a new sort of tension to it. But for the most part, I think people are enjoying it. And British Debo, if that looks like hardcore Henry to you, I don't know what to tell you, man.
One, it doesn't. But if it did, I wouldn't consider it an insult. Hardcore Henry is awesome.
Yeah, that's a great movie. It's a lot of fun, but this ain't in first person. So get over it.
Yeah, it's not even first person. Jesus. But it's like British Debo just wants to say something.
Yeah.
Hey, what about me? Pay attention to me.
Yeah, this looks like something that has a lot of artistic integrity. And again, you know, this is something that is taking a concept that someone definitely loves. You can see the passion right there. And they're just saying, fine, you won't let me make my Friday the 13th movie? I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
And for those of you saying you can do it, go do it.
Go do it.
I dare you. Make movies is easy. Just flip on my phone. Bam, I'm done. I'm done. I don't need to edit it. Just does it all by itself. But when we get these AIs going, man, I think that people are going to be producing, you know, like their own Friday the 13th movies. Or even in my case, I will be putting Monkey Bone into the algorithm to be like, spit out a sequel. I'm dead serious. But now that I'm thinking about it, before we move on to something that you saw that I didn't get to see, what is something that you would want to put into that AI and see what it would spit out?
Man, I don't know, because I'm all about new concepts and new ideas, and I don't like revisiting or, you know, the same thing or a sequel unless it is the original creators had that, like, I had more story to tell. Or there's somebody who comes along and is like, I have such a great vision for this that is not just a remake of what you saw before. But yeah, I don't know what things would be that way. It's rare that something comes along and does it, and when it does, it's a big surprise.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Martin says, bah humbug, go make something new. I kind of agree.
Well, you made it to the end of the video. That must mean you really like what we do. So if you do, check out these other videos just like this one. Check out our other YouTube channels and subscribe to join our wonderful Toasty community. And as always, stay toasty.